Okay. So we're coming into the last series of 5 meditations, and the next 3 are the ones that I want to cover because those are going to carry us right into the end of the year really nicely. And they're big topics that are really a culmination of all of the work that you guys have done this year, because they are now getting us into reflections, focusing meditations on how do we create things in our life. So this year we've been working with the meditations, hopefully, to help you to achieve a little bit better self-mastery as far as being aware of where your thoughts are, being aware of where your thoughts are going, being aware of the emotions that you're experiencing and how those are driving your thoughts and behaviors, and then being able to create some space so that then you can choose, because that's really the crux of all of the training that we do, is understanding that we always have a choice. And even when things aren't going the way that we would like them to go, we are sovereign in our own kingdom here. And we have the opportunity to choose to act differently, think differently, put effort into creating new habits. And ultimately, the whole reason for that is so that we can create a better life for ourselves and for those around us, and hopefully contribute something meaningful to the world, which gives us joy and helps us feel like our life has a bigger meaning and purpose beyond just our small little circle. And that helps us in a lot of different ways. So the next meditation that you guys are going to be unlocking is a manifesting meditation. And then that's going to go into the meditation is called Being Healthy, but it is very much in line with the manifesting meditation, because you can take a lot of the concepts that you're going to be working with in the manifesting meditation and apply that to the following week's concepts and meditation practice in order to manifest greater well-being for yourself personally and your health goals, whether those are physical health goals, mental, emotional health goals, relationship health goals, different things like that. And then the week after is an abundance meditation. And so those, you can see, all dovetail together really nicely. The manifesting meditation that's coming up for you guys on Friday is one that I really like, because it does a very good job of getting you to connect with some keys that are involved with creating successful experiences for ourselves. And for those of you, I'm trying to think if any of you have done, I think we go through it in the Sacred Geometry 1 class, the rules for magicians that we talk about. But there are pieces from those rules for magicians, which is what we teach in the mystery school, some of the mystery school classes, for those of you that haven't taken that are that these concepts can be found in as well in various forms. And they speak to the power that we have in manifesting and creating our life, and some of the key factors that are required for us to make things happen, for us to bring things from the realm of imagination and desire into physicality and manifestation. So that's, of course, all of the work that we do in Empower Thyself. We're starting that process of clearing out the things that are mucking up the system and distracting us and getting our energy, our vibration, our frequency low, right? Helping us to elevate our frequency, which then elevates the quality of our thoughts and our emotions, so that we can be in a better space to be bringing things into our life. And the rituals that I teach you guys in Empower Thyself, that those of you that have done that have helped to assist you in this whole process. So it will be interesting for you to think about that as you're also listening to the meditations next week. The first key that is in that manifesting meditation is the key of desire. So you first have to have your attention on an appropriate object, which is one of the keys for magicians, right? We have to have a direction in mind. We have to have a desire that we wish to make manifest in our life. And the clearer we are about what it is that we desire, the easier it is for us to take the necessary steps to make that a reality and move from just imagining and wishing and hoping to doing and experiencing. So you'll have the opportunity to really sit down. And I would encourage you, this is a nice time of year to do it too, because, we're coming into the Christmas season and the new year when everybody, likes to kind of reset and refresh and refocus for the months ahead. And you can sit down and write down some of the things that you want, right? That you desire. And, maybe there are a number of different things in different categories of your life. So the first thing to do is to get clear about what your desire is so that you have a destination for your energy to go in. If you don't have a direction for your energy, you're not going to be effective at creating the kind of life you actually desire to be living. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be swept along in the current of all of the chaos that's going on around you, just getting by and going through the motions. So it's very, very important for us every day to refocus and redirect to our desires. What is it that we want to achieve? What is it that we want to create today, every day? And for those of you that have your Empower Thyself rituals, you have manifesting rituals, you have ways to recenter. And so every morning, that's something that I hope that you're doing. And you can begin to then fine-tune that process and focus it and use your rituals to call in all of the angelic assistance that's available to us and help you in taking effective action, which is associated with the next key point of that manifestation process, which is dedication. So it's one thing to have an idea of all of the things that you want, okay? But we all know that just thinking about things doesn't make them magically appear, right? We have to take actionable steps towards the achievement of those goals. And we need to make dedicated effort every single day. The more consistency that we have in moving towards those goals and taking even just small steps every day towards achieving the manifestation of those desires that we have will keep us moving forward, and it also will keep us in the flow of the energy that we want to generate in order to make those things happen in our life. So every day you want to be doing something to move you closer to the goal identified, the desire that you've identified. And that's something that I would encourage you to really be pretty deliberate about. So once you've, and it's helpful to write things down. I mean, you can listen to the meditation and do it mentally, but there's something about writing it down that kind of brings that into a more concrete awareness for us. So write down the things that you desire and then write down some specific actions that you can take. And you can work on a lot of different levels. Those of you that have done Empower Thyself, we can work the magic, right? So you obviously, it also is not effective to want something and then do a bunch of prayers about it and then not take any physical action in the world, right? That's also missing a key point. But as initiates, with the tools that you guys have and that newfound elevated energy that you have, right? You have a higher frequency and a higher energetic capacity to actually bring those things into your reality. You have a lot of tools that you can work with. So you can write down specific things that you do every single day. So for example, you might write down specific rituals or specific calling upons that you want to do and that are focused towards specific goals that you have. I do those in the mornings. You also then can write down specific practical actions, steps that you can take, So depending on what your goal is, that's going to obviously look differently. So if you want more physical health, for example, then you're going to write down something concrete like, I'm going to exercise at least 10 minutes a day, or I am going to, eat 50% less sugar today, or I am going to eat, 2 cups of greens today, or I am going to meditate once a day, because I have all of these good meditation tools now that I've accumulated over the year. So you want to give yourself the opportunity to really be focused and dedicated and diligent about doing something every day. And I understand that a lot of us encounter some resistance internally around doing things like that, because there's a part of our ego that doesn't like to be told what to do, even if we're telling ourselves what to do. But it's important for us to take daily action, because it's not just about discipline. It's about what needs to happen for you to be in the flow of the energy that you want to bring in your life. And if you are not taking action to bring something into the physical every day, the flow of that energy gets cut off. And so then you just end up in this kind of standstill where you're wanting and thinking about things. And, maybe taking, certain actions that are not bringing through the results that you want, because you need to do something more tangibly physical in order to kind of ground that energy into the physical world. And so dedication is really, really important, because change requires change, right? And it requires some effort. The fun thing is that once you connect with your true desire and why do you want the things that you want, and how will it help you be a better person? How will it help you achieve the things that feel important to you? How will it help you help other people? That's really the next step to take it, because once you step outside of the circle of your own personal concerns and you start to realize that your life can carry a much bigger purpose and meaning and be helpful to others, when we do the necessary things to take care of ourselves and then ask, how can I help other people with this? Right? That gets the energy flowing in a totally different way. So the second part of the meditation has to do with that. But these are things that I really would encourage you guys to work with on a pretty regular basis, just through your day-to-day life. And definitely I would encourage you to make a really concerted effort to actually specifically think about these things every morning when you get up. You get up in the morning and you can ask yourself, okay, what am I going to create today? What am I going to do with this precious life that I have and these hours that I have been given? And how am I going to do a little bit better today than I did tomorrow? Because it's not about being perfect. It's just about taking steps to be a little bit better, and if we take little steps every single day, then we end up reaching our goal eventually. And the more that we are taking action intentionally, the more that spiritual energy is going to flow in and support us, to be able to kind of bring other opportunities to us to help things take shape. Okay. And then once we have dedicated ourselves and we have taken action, then the last piece is trust, which I would also call surrender. Okay. So trust doesn't mean that you just lay back and you trust that everything will come to you. Okay. Trust means that you trust that if you are having an appropriate focus with an appropriate intention, and you're taking steps every day towards the achievement of that goal, that you will be able to accomplish what you desire. Trust. So in a sense, it's also surrender, because sometimes we work for a long time and things take a lot longer than we want them to. And there is some degree of surrender and trust in the process that you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going and putting in the effort. And over time, those efforts will compound and you'll begin to steer the river of your life in a new direction. So that manifesting ritual is a really nice one that wraps all of those pieces together for you. And it also includes at the end a visualization of you having achieved success. Because again, in Empower Thyself, we talk about the power of our imagination, right? Because your imagination is a big part of your ability to do things. And imagining yourself at the end, at the goal, does have an actual impact on the quantum field that we're swimming in, okay? The energetic field that we're operating within. That is basically the field of potential, okay? The potential energy before it starts to come down into materia and physicality. Our visualization can help to shape that. So you can, in essence, as you're moving towards your goal and you're taking action to bring the energy in and to move things around, simultaneously hold the vision of yourself at the end, having achieved the thing that you desire and feeling gratitude for that. And really holding that image of yourself. And so those are some really nice key pieces that are put together in that meditation for you. And I would encourage you to do the meditation every day, not just once, right? Because again, consistency is really important, and that's going to really ingrain. The more you do it, the more familiar you're going to get with the process, and then it will become more natural for you to remember those different pieces of what we need to do in order to begin to create changes that we want in our life and move in that direction. So the next meditation after that is it's called like the foundations of being healthy or something of that nature. And it really has there's a lot of visualization in that one as well. But the point that I want to offer for you to sort of contemplate with that particular meditation that is not directly addressed in the audio itself is that during that meditation, we're working a lot essentially with affirmations, right? And so again, affirmations are nice, but affirmations alone are not going to do everything that we need to do in order to experience a success. But they are important, and you can often, for those of you, again, that have chosen to empower thyself, you can, think about some of the rituals that really as types of affirmations, right? Because we're saying words out loud. Our words carry an energy or a frequency to them. That's why when we're working with lineage rituals that are ancient and holy, the frequency of those words is very high. So it begins to raise our frequency. Why is that important? Because you can do affirmations, and it's documented actually in science that our DNA actually responds to both frequency and to the words that we're speaking. Okay. Our frequency affects our DNA because our DNA emits light. It emits biophotons, and it also receives light. It receives energy. It responds to the energy around us. And so the thoughts that we're thinking create an energy or a frequency. The words that we're speaking create, bring things into reality. That's why we say all magic is spoken. Okay. When we're working to request assistance for things from the angelic realm, and our guides that are helping us, we speak it out loud because there's a frequency, an energy that is liberated with our words that then affects the physicality around us. And again, for those of you that have done Sacred Geometry 1, we talk a little bit about that, right? Frequency then affects the geometries that then become physical form. So there are a lot of different metaphysical concepts that are underlying some of these very, what on the surface seem like common things that we hear about, right? Affirmations and that sort of thing. What they found with the words and the way that our words affect our DNA is that the frequency that we're in influences the impact that those words have. So why is that important? Well, it's much more effective for us to position ourselves in an attitude of gratitude, okay? An attitude of hope, an attitude of excitement, an attitude of looking forward to the things that are coming to us from our efforts, because that's a higher frequency than discouragement, depression, anxiety, worry, all of those sorts of things. I mean, you guys can recognize that, I'm sure, because you can feel it in your body. You can feel the influence that those different states have on you physically and mentally and emotionally. So if we can raise our frequency, okay, the vibration that we're at, and then do the affirmations, the power is stronger. What do our rituals do? They increase our frequency. So for those of you that have done Empower Thyself, it might be a fun experiment for you to do your rituals and then do your affirmations, right? And see how that feels different. Because if we can elevate ourselves and continue to just invite ourselves to be elevated, to increase our frequency, to focus on more uplifted states, attitudes, and that sort of thing, then the words that we're speaking take a much different power to them, rather than, oh, I have to do my meditation again because I decided I would dedicate myself to doing it, and then I'm grouchy, right? So, going into meditation in that kind of grumpy state is not as helpful. So if you can find some kind of inner motivation, like how is it going to help you? How is it going to help you have a better day, and connect with that appreciation or gratitude or hope or some sense of empowerment, right? Like I have things to do, that I'm going to trust the process. And I know that if I continue to move forward one step at a time, things will happen for me. Things will continue to move. And the more I move, the faster the energy begins to flow. So it kind of creates an momentum for us to keep moving forward. So when you're doing the affirmations in that being healthy meditation, pay attention to your frequency, right? Your state. So appreciate, think of something that you enjoy before you start the meditation. That's something that you're grateful for, something that you're excited about or you're looking forward to, or maybe because we're, coming near the holiday season, you've been able to visit with some friends that you really enjoy, or connect in meaningful ways with family, or, you had a nice party that you got to go to and kind of relax and connect with people. Maybe you got a really nice gift that you enjoyed, anything. Just think of anything that you enjoy to kind of invite yourself up in that way. And then the next meditation after that is an abundance meditation, right? So that has a lot to do with our manifesting. And abundance is an interesting phenomenon, because when we don't feel abundant, right, we tend to fall into a lack mindset, right? Because part of our mind thinks logically that that's realistic, let's say. You know what I mean? And the difficulty with that cycle, that we get into is that when we feel like we don't have enough, and we feel like we don't have enough, we feel like we don't have enough. And so it doesn't matter what comes to us. In a sense, we always feel like it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. And that's a lack mindset. And what that does, this always not enough, is it keeps us in poverty, spiritual poverty, poverty mindset, lack mindset, and all of that. So this isn't about being irresponsible, okay? Especially if we're talking about like financial abundance. And there's lots of different kinds of abundance, right? We can have emotional abundance, relationship abundance, physical health abundance, right? And then we can have money abundance. And so there's lots of different ways that we can desire, right, to create more abundance for ourselves, because of course life is easier when we feel like we have more than we need, right? And it's okay to enjoy life and for things to feel easier and for you to be able to have an abundance of resources so that you can enjoy this life that we have, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But this feeling like we're never satisfied is very ingrained into the psyche of humanity at this point, right? Like no matter how much we have, it's not enough. I want more, I want more, I want more. And so you can be you look around and you can see this. People are very financially wealthy and they still feel like they don't have enough, right? They don't have enough. So how do we shift out of that to create actual abundance? And the way that we do that is with gratitude. And, we've talked about some of you have been, coming to classes and stuff that I've been doing for like many, many, many years. And we've talked about gratitude before. It gets kind of commonplace because it's very kind of pervasive in the social media and different media and psychology. And we talk about gratitude practices. So I think almost it's kind of we've gotten numb to it a little bit in appreciating the power of gratitude. But I want you to think about, in the context of abundance, how does gratitude shift you when you are connecting with the desire that you have? Okay, so let's say we go back to our manifesting ritual and we have a desire that we want to create more abundance, right? In whatever way that is. How do we get into a frequency that then allows us to move into that flow? Okay. And we have to somehow find a way to be genuinely grateful for the things that we already have. And we need to allow ourselves to really soak that in and to feel that abundance, right? So we need aspirations so that we have something to move us, to drive us to move forward, so that we don't stagnate and become kind of like, when we're not progressing, we don't feel happy. Okay. So we need aspirations in order for us to feel fulfilled and like we're accomplishing things, because that gives us joy to feel like we've accomplished things. But then within that desire, we also have to hold gratitude for the things that are already here for us, what we've already created, the things we've already achieved. So you might look back at the year and think, what things have I created for myself? What kind of progress have I made? Even if it's just really tiny things, so that we can be grateful for the things that we have already and be in that abundance state of being. Okay. When we're grateful for what we already have, we feel like we have enough. And it doesn't mean we stop striving to be greater, because, we can all be so much more than we are already, which is what makes life fun. It's what makes life challenging, and it's what makes life meaningful. Okay. But if we're grateful for what we already have, we feel like I have enough. And from this place of appreciating what I already have, all of the gifts that I have, okay, that shifts our internal environment, our frequency, you could say, into a frequency that is more aligned with abundance. Okay, because we're thinking about what we have and appreciating what we have already and being grateful for that. And then from that place of gratitude and feeling abundant, feeling like we have enough, and this is really important, when we feel like we have enough energy, right? We have enough resources, we have enough knowledge, whatever it is, from that place of abundance, we're able to give to other people because we have something to give. So just connect with what we already have, and then in small ways, give that to other people, because then that creates the flow. You serve another person, and that creates space inside of you to receive, okay? The problem with the lack mindset is that we're clinging to things. Energetically, we're clinging and we're holding and we're holding. And energetically, what that does to you is that there's no room for anything to come in. Okay, does that make sense? There's no room for anything to come in because you're holding on to everything and you're already full. Okay, so think of the ways that you are abundant already. So maybe you have an abundance of time. Maybe you have an abundance of energy. Maybe you, those are probably all stretches for you, right? You have an abundance of something, okay? You have abundance of canned vegetables from your garden. I don't know, like whatever it is that you have, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It just has to be something. And as you take action and you give, even just love, like I have enough care for people. I'm giving my caring, my kindness. That doesn't cost anything, right? And it doesn't deplete your energy, because all of you that have authentically cared for somebody and wanted to help them, when you help them, what happens? You feel good. And then you receive energy. Why? Because you've created space inside of you, because you've helped another person, you've given something away, and you're now not full and holding on to things, so you can receive. So you're asking for the universe, for God, for your guides and the angels and all of the other beings to help you have more, whatever it is you want. And then you're not creating space to be able to receive that. So then the question is, how do you create space? And this isn't about pretending to create space. You have to connect with something that's real for you, like something you really feel grateful for. And then just in little ways, not beyond your means, give away to other people. Give your kindness. Bake cookies for somebody. Like, do something to give. And as we give, we're able to receive, because that's the flow of this universe that we live. Okay, does that make sense? So one of the keys to abundance is gratitude, because from that place of gratitude, you're able to give to other people. And as you give to other people, you create space. You feel like you have enough, and more can come to you. Okay? So, these are really, really big meditations the next couple of weeks. If you kind of follow them, more metaphysical. You can make them very superficial, but there is a lot of depth to these. And they work on a lot of different levels, because they not only work on your mind and your thoughts, because you're following this guided meditation, right? So you're directing your thoughts. You can then work with your feelings, okay? Connecting with abundance, with things that you really, like your passion, what you desire, what excites you. What do you want to bring into your life? Get excited about it. Have some hope. Create a plan so that you feel like, there's some movement possible in that direction. And then, talk to yourself in a good way, right? With your affirmations, so that you can be healthy inside and outside. Pay attention to your words. See if you can keep your frequency high. If you have a low frequency and you really struggle with that, because it's a real thing and a lot of people do your rituals. If you haven't done Empower Thyself, for goodness sake, at least come and get a life activation, okay? and take some steps. Like I can help you with that. But that's what all the healings that we have in the lineage are for. They help our frequency, because sometimes it is hard and we just need help. We need a little boost, and that's why we're not alone. We have community. We can give each other a hand up. So then you have, you're sort of elevated enough that then you can start to move forward again. So, again, you have to take action. And sometimes that action is saying, I guess I need a little help. I'm going to reach out and get the help that I need, whether that's from me, somebody else near you. But if we're talking frequency, that is what the lineage tools are for. And that's what initiation does. And that's what the activations do that so many of you have had. So there are ways to increase your frequency. So then when your frequency is higher, when you have more spiritual energy, it's much easier for you to have positive thoughts and to feel grateful and to be uplifted and to have hope and to look forward to things and to be excited about all the power that you have to make changes in your life. So I hope that you guys really enjoy the meditations in the next couple weeks. And, and then we're going to be wrapping up. The last two after that are kind of wrap up ones. And I think one of them we might have done before the very last one, which is like what the world needs. So it's sort of revisiting, what the world needs is essentially people that are living their purpose, right? That are contributing to the greater good in a way that aligns with their gifts and their passions and their talents. And we all have a different piece of that puzzle. So the last part of this last month is like a fun month because it's really like where the rubber meets the road. And so many of you guys have other tools that then you can use to really supercharge your mind and your focus and your actions and, just play with it. I mean, you really have to do an experiment. You have to just decide, okay, I'm going to play this game, right? Let's try to make this happen. I'm going to do all the things and I'm just going to test it. I'm just going to test it. I'm just going to keep going and I'm going to have fun with it, right? Because I don't have to be so serious all the time. So I just need to do things, okay? Stop overthinking it. Just make a plan and then just do it. And when you don't feel like doing it, do it anyway. As you made a plan, That's where the dedication comes in. Because you're not always going to feel like doing what you know you need to do. And that's where self-sabotage happens, okay? So figure out what you want, make a plan, dedicate yourself to doing it, trust that it will happen, and then just do it. And when you feel like you don't want to do it anyway. Because you've already identified what it is that you want to create. And we're so powerful, we're so powerful. And, we just need to do what we're able to do. And it doesn't need to be big leaps and bounds. It's just like small, everyday things. And so just a little bit every day will get you further, okay? So that's all I got for you guys today.